This is my low-tech nature aquarium. It's called this because it's basically got a light, a little internal filter, and I don't do anything to it. It's currently in autopilot mode. For me, that means I don't really do anything to it at all apart from trim plants. That said, I do need to do a few little things every now and again to keep it ticking along nicely, which totally contradicts everything I just said. Never mind. So this is my low-tech tank. I did a big video on this, like a full guide. This has been set up for 3 weeks now, and it's doing so well. I'm really pleased with it. I've deliberately let everything grow out. Like, I say deliberately, I just haven't had time to get to it, but I knew it wasn't detrimental to the tank, so I left it, but now it's getting to the point where it's needed. And the reason it's needed is because we're now stopping the light getting down to the plants. If the plants don't grow well, they don't clean the water. If the water isn't cleaned, then the fish will get sick. Now, that's a long way off happening, to be honest, and most of these plants will still grow if the whole surface is covered, but they won't grow as well and they won't look as lush and good. So first things first, I need to just take out some of the floating plants here. This is mini water lettuce. Let me just pull a piece out. Look at that. Hey? Hey? They look so good, don't they? I'm going to definitely keep some in, because I think they add a really good vibe to the tank. But obviously they're all getting pushed over into this corner, and they're even doubling back on themselves, look. So I need to take out most of them because they do multiply so fast, and yeah, we can't have this happening again in no time at all. I don't actually know if the stem plants have grown because we can't see. I mean, they definitely have to a degree, because look at this one. It's peeking at the top. Looks so good. That's the Limnophila. No, it's a different one, wasn't it? This was the Limnophila aquatica, not to be confused with Ceciliflora, which doesn't look like this actually. It's a lot, there it is at the back. The other version's a lot more spindly. Is that right? I don't know, whatever. So yeah, let's get these floating plants out, and then we can just sort of see a lot more of what's going on with the tank, and we can also take a better look at the fish as well. Right, we've made the water go quite murky, but the tank looking so much brighter, a lot better already. Now, why is it important to remove the floating plants? Not just for getting light back into the tank to enable the plants to grow, but also for these to grow, they require nitrates in the water column. So now, by removing them, we've exported the nitrates. We're going to keep them at a healthy level. Now, we've only got a little internal filter, which means we haven't got like a ton of filtration. So this will really help just keep everything on point. Water changes not really needed in this tank. I'm not going to bother at all, to be honest. That'll all be clear in no time at all. What I will do though is, because since I've set it up, I've not actually cleaned out the filter back here once. So I will take the sponge out and rinse it in some of the water. Not tap water, it'll be the tank water, to make sure we don't kill off any of the beneficial bacteria that's on the sponge from the chlorine in the tap water. So yeah, that's going to be all good. This will look so good in no time at all. Right, here we go. Here's the little internal filter after 3 weeks. How are we looking? It's not perfect by any means, but I'd say overall that's pretty good. There's just a tiny little bit of clogging, you know, on these little sections. We'll give those a rinse off, but yeah, pretty good. Now I'll get rid of this, fill it with tank water, clean that sponge in it. This is why we can get away with no water changes, because look, all of that is now effectively being removed from the tank, plus the floating plants. They're going to grow again, and you know, filter's clean, so job done. No need to change the water because the water's already clean. Boom! Fish are happy, I'm happy, plants are happy. Look at these little cories, they're so good. The only thing I'm not massively happy about, and I'm being very picky here, is the slight sort of dust algae that's on the substrate there, and that little bit there. But I mean, come on now, I'm being a bit silly, aren't I? It actually adds to the sort of naturalness to it all. In a minute, this water's going to be clear. It's going to look so good. Oh yeah, another interesting thing. We've got a hillstream loach in here now, look. So when I built, we'll get onto this in a minute, by the way, guys. When I built the rainbow fish tank here, I broke down the whole racking system behind it. And in one of those tanks,
there was like what I thought was empty, but it turned out one of the hillstream loaches was still in there, hiding on a rock. Now it was like the sort of retirement tank. The rest had gone back to the shop on one of my visits. Now, what I tend to do when one of them survives like that is I make sure I keep it. So I found a space for him, and yeah, here he is, look. He seems to love it. I mean, obviously there's a decent amount of flow in this tank. I've just spooked him because look at that. Good flow right on the water surface, so it's just all skimming along the top and it swoops back down on the glass, and that's why he is gone, but loving it. The bristlenose plecos are still doing a mighty fine job. There's one in there, one on there. So there's no algae at all in any of the hardscape apart from these in the cracks. But that makes sense because they can't get their little bristly, teethy thingies into the cracks, can they?
And I have to say, guys, how amazing are both the two top tanks looking at the moment? They complement each other so well.
I mean, just check that out, side by side. Over here, we've got the albino cherry barbs, or albino cherry barbs. Sorry. And we've got the smudge spots cories right there. Again, this water's a little bit cloudy still. I should have probably given it a little bit more time before we started filming. It's fine. And then right next to it, we've got the neon Tetra tank. Look at this, it's grown in massively. This is a jungle. It's deliberately left like this. I'm going full eco mode, leaving it, letting it do its own thing, and it's working absolutely brilliantly. I was getting green dust algae, quite a bit of it in this tank, and I was getting some die for the plants as well. Well, I took up most of the floating plants, allowed more light in. As a result, it's just taken off. There's no dust algae. Look, that rock used to be covered in it, and now it's not anywhere. And we've got our beautiful neon tetras, everyone's favourite, but maybe not actually. I mean, anyone that's new to the hobby or gets into fish keeping tends to want neon tetras. You can't blame them, can you? Look at them. Oh, they're like little pets. Come here, boo, 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 boo. Don't run away.
So it's now been like 4 days since that last little section I filmed. I've been away with the family. It's been a lovely little break. We did like a little Christmas get-together thing, so it was awesome. But I've come back, and I swear, it's almost like the algae's just gone, quick, he's been away, let's go crazy.
And what I mean is, it's been 4 days. Look! What are you doing? What is this? Fish, though, are healthy. You know, algae doesn't really cause any problems for fish majority of the time. I mean, it can cause plants to die off maybe if you're covered. No, look, if you've got algae, your water's going to be pretty much all right. I would say so anyway. The brand new setups, they don't have algae, and that's when you sort of run into problems with ammonia and that kind of thing. So the Apistogramma tank's got a little bit more. Now, what does this mean? Why are we getting algae then? The only limiting factor in this is going to be the lighting. There's too much light. So what can we do to combat it? Well, I've actually covered up a load of the light strip. There you go, look, you can see there. So we've got black, white, black, white, black, white. Those black bits are actually where the LEDs are being covered by the tape. So I'm going to have to cover up a few more, I think, and just find that right balance, because we still want to have really good plant growth, don't we? But we don't want to be getting the amount of sort of algae we're getting after 4 days. That's too much, too fast, and no amount of sort of, I don't know, snail, shrimp, that kind of thing will be able to keep up with that. It's just too much. And when you think there's barely any nutrients going into this tank either, because it's a little bit feeding for the fish. So we need to get on top of that and do something different.
So like I say, it's going to be a really simple fix. Just to flip them up, ow, I just blinded myself. Flip them upside down. I'm going to take out 1, 2, 3, I don't know. I'll just do it and see how the lighting looks on everything and see if that's right.
Right, believe it or not, I've actually reduced it by about another 20%, something like that there. Completely made up that figure, but yeah, that's what I'm going with. And it probably doesn't look like it at the moment because the camera compensates for light. When it goes down, it brings everything up. But I can tell by my eye that we've dropped it quite considerably there. Let's just get it cleaned up a bit. We can see how we're looking and actually see if there's enough light there for the plants.
So to be honest, that was actually like a massive amount of water to take out of both of these, and I wouldn't usually do water changes of that size. I mean, most of my tanks I just top up actually, but the reason being is we'd already set so much algae in motion because of having that extra light in, so I think it's best just to, you know, take it right down, take a load of that waste out, sort of start from the beginning, you know? I think we'll have a much better chance now with the right lighting, well, hopefully the right lighting levels, but then we're not fully starting again as well, which is good because cycled, everything's cycled now. You know, these tanks are becoming mature, which means everything will just work in our favour moving forward. And not to forget, it's also been a good 5 days since we did the maintenance on this tank here. Take a look at it, it's looking awesome again. Yeah, look at that, completely cleared up now since we did all that maintenance. Fish are enjoying it. I've just put some food in as well. Oh, there's a smudge spot. Gory going nuts. There's been quite a few in the foreground actually, since I've sort of cleared everything out. Look, as I say that, there was just the one. There's one in there, look, doing something. What are you doing? You're not stuck, are you? No, they're not stuck. They don't get stuck. Yeah, anyway, the tank looks so much better, doesn't it? I've decided, though, not to trim any of the background plants. They're only just touching the surface. I wanted to loop over a little bit before I trim any of them. Really liking that jungle vibe with this one. Like I say, we've got jungle, we've got jungle. And also, I am going to be breaking down the Platy Mountain tank. I mean, look at, the pearlweed's gone nuts, but that's because I like letting plants go nuts. This isn't my kind of thing. I enjoyed making it and, showing you guys something different, but I like something that's more sort of focus more on like how the jungly plants look. I'm into planting tanks, and for me this one is more like a rock tank that, yeah, it's just not my bag. Like I say, I always like trying new things, and you should too. Like, find out what you like. I want to hone in my skills on something that I'm really good at, and that's the ecosystem style tanks that run themselves. And I know some of you are going to be itching for an update over here at the Blue Acara tank on the Fry. Bad news. There's none of the babies left in the main tank, and as far as I can tell, there's none of the babies left in here either. There might well be, they might have gone to the back, but I haven't seen any movement at all from any fish anywhere, which is a bit disappointing, but I wasn't really expecting much of it. I don't know what I'm doing with this sort of thing. I'm good at letting the parents do the thing and, making nice water for them to thrive in. But when it comes to doing it myself, I haven't got any experience at all. But in other news, look, we've got these two guys, and I think that's the one that had the babies before. Guess what? The other one has set up another little breeding nest back there. We've got more eggs in the back for sure. It's just going to keep going on and on, isn't it? But that's fine. Eventually, it's going to stick. I'm never interfering again. I didn't like what happened last time. I didn't like the response the mum took. The mum was all settled nice in this back corner around here. She brought them forward because obviously I'd threatened that area, and it just did not end well. We might still have babies now if I didn't do that, but you live and learn, don't you? A lot of you wanted me to get them out. Quite a lot of the breeders and that were saying don't, so it just goes to show quite a few people here that have been doing this for a while know what they're talking about, but it's good for us to try different things and listen to each other, and yeah, it didn't work out this time, but look, it's going to work out eventually, isn't it? There was some thoughts that I wasn't using the baby brine shrimp in the tank, and that's what actually led in the end to the babies dying, is starvation. Well, I understand where that's coming from, but look, over here, remember, this tank is full of apistogramma fry, which are much smaller as newborns, and loads and loads of them survived. I've got like 20 of them in here, which you're obviously not seeing now, but I didn't do anything special to that tank at all. I think one batch at one point I put some baby brine shrimp in, and I found it a bit of a sort of faff and a hassle to produce those, and I wasn't very good at it either. So yeah, again, let the tanks do their thing, and hopefully we get new life, and that has happened this time. It's happened on many other tanks, like for instance the discus tank has got the cories as well, hasn't it, the cory babies. So yeah, that's just what I want to continue to do.